that you might not be part of the church? It's a crazy question. It's a crazy statement that Tom Rainer actually makes in the book I Will. This is a book we've been looking at just to discover really a whole bunch of stuff about what it means to be a part of the church. And this chapter, this chapter was interesting. This chapter was absolutely incredible. Talks all about being a part of the church and how we attending Sunday isn't enough. And that was one of the big points that he made, and it might have been a little bit shocking for you to hear. And I hope that you're reading along. I hope that you're going through the book I Will with us. I hope that you're looking at that. But one of the incredible things that Tom Rainer, the statement he makes, is that if you are only attending Sunday morning and you're not involved in some sort of a group, if you're not involved in a discipleship group of some sort, here at Stillwater we call them homestead groups, and if you're not a part of a group, then there's a really good chance that in 5 years you won't be at the church anymore. You'll end up moving on. You'll end up going somewhere else. And for a lot of people, that's really shocking. But why is it that if you're not involved in a group, then you're really not a crucial part of the church? You're really not invested in the church. And I think the biggest reason behind this is that you're not intentionally building relationships. One of the things that we oftentimes will see is people who come along and they want to go to church and they want to be faithful and they want to read the Bible and they want to pray and they want to worship and they want all of this, but they don't want the community because community is messy. Community is hard. And it's really one of those things that you look at people, and I always call them Lone Ranger Christians. They're the Lone Ranger. They think they can do it themselves. They really don't need a whole bunch of people around them. They don't need people helping them. They don't need any of that. Now, they'll step up and help someone if they ask, but they don't want to have to build that relationship. And it's really a bad model of Christianity. I would actually argue it's an unbiblical model. You can't do this on your own. You're just not going to. It's too difficult. And so one of the incredible things about this chapter is how he gets into the importance of being a part of a group. And being a part of a group is so crucial because it challenges you, it encourages you. I actually believe you're more likely to pray if you're involved in a group, and a big reason is you are hearing about other people's problems. You're hearing about what other people may be going through, and so now your heart begins to pour out to them. You begin to care more about people. You end up being more willing to serve others because you have relationships. And not only that, but you are encouraged and confronted with your own lack and confronted with areas that you may struggle more because you're seeing it in somebody else. And this really ties in really well with the chapter we looked at last week. And I have to just stress this so much, that if you are not a part of a group, then you are not fully a part of the church that you attend because you're not building those relationships. Now, maybe you're the type where you say, you know what, I don't need groups to build relationships. Well, you're absolutely right. You can build relationships wherever you are. But let me ask you, where is the group of believers that you have that are around you on a regular basis, encouraging you that you are doing life with? Do you have that? You see, chances are that you don't, because we don't do that on our own. We are less likely to do that. Now, you might have a group of people in your life that you might have a group of people in your life that you spend a little bit of time with, but are they really and intentionally being a part of your spiritual walk with Christ? And are you being a part of theirs? And that's where the major difference begins to happen. And I so appreciated how Tom talked about this. I mean, the whole idea of within 5 years falling off of the church is just incredible to me that happens. And yet we see it happen all the time. Like at the church here, we have a lot of people who they'll come and they may stick around for a month to 2 months to 3 months. But if they don't ever really plug in, eventually they disappear, and one of the hard parts is because they may go through a difficult time and nobody's around to walk with them. That they may sit there and they may say, well, nobody cares about me. Well, they never gave themselves an opportunity to be cared for. I mean, it's a mutual relationship. It's something that has to happen. And then we never are encouraged to invite people to be a part. You've got to be intentional. I mean, that's the biggest thing I can see in all of this, is if you're not intentional about building relationships with fellow believers, if you're not intentional about being a part of other people's lives, you miss out. I mean, look at what Jesus did, okay? Jesus lived life, and when he started his ministry, one of the first things he did was began gathering people to go with him. He didn't do it by himself. Did he need them? No, he didn't need them at all. But he brought them along, and he poured into them, and he saw their problems. I mean, he went to Peter's house and healed Peter's mother-in-law. I mean, all sorts of things. Jesus was having conversation with James and John's mom. I mean, he was involved in their lives. And if that was important to Jesus, shouldn't it be important to you and me? Are you involved? Are you involved in other people's lives? Are you building relationships? Are you doing it intentionally? And are you doing it around God's word? See, here's one of the dangers, I think. A lot of times you'll have people, and maybe you're one of them, where you just attend church on Sunday. That's kind of what you do. You go to church every Sunday, and you sit and you listen, but that's as far as it goes. The problem with that is you never hear differing opinions. You never hear how it might have influenced someone's life. I mean, I'm the one who's preaching the message at my church, and what's incredible is I go to a small group that evening, and it's always interesting to hear the takeaways from other people. Other people are gaining things that I didn't even think about. I've actually had some people say to me, do you remember when you said this? And it's like, I said that? Like, that wasn't one of the big parts that I had focused on or any of that. And yet it spoke to somebody. And I would miss out on that if I wasn't involved in the group. And you're going to miss out on that too. Not only are you going to miss out on diving deeper into God's word, you're going to miss out on building the relationships. You're going to miss out on caring for people. You're going to miss out on the times of prayer. You're going to miss out on the laughter. You miss out. If you want to be a healthy, growing, productive Christian, get around other Christians. You need to be in a group. Now, if you attend Stillwater, you need to get involved in one of our homestead groups. Plain and simple. You need to get involved. That is our primary way. In fact, I would say this, if you want to experience the care of this church, if you want to be fully involved in the church, you want to see all of these things, you need to be in a group. If you're like, Pastor Chris, I don't know what my next step is. I don't know what I need to do next. You need to be in a group. If you're like, Pastor Chris, our marriage is hurting. We don't know what to do. We're in all this. Get in a group. All of these things, you need to be in a group. Because you need to be around other believers. You need to be growing. You need to be willing to invest in other people and allow other people to invest in you. Now, there's one thing really, really important with this that I want to talk about. Because a lot of times what we like to do is we just like to get in a group with people who are just like us. And let me understand, I get that in a really big way. There's something about being around people who are in a similar stage of life as you. At the same time, you miss out on so much. One of the really special things about the group that I'm involved in on Sunday nights is we have a wide range. Now, there's a lot of people who have kids, and that's kind of one of the common things. There's a lot of kids, but we also have people whose kids are grown and who've left the house and yet are following Jesus. And so the rest of us are always looking and just wanting to glean and learn from these people who have gone before us, who have done what they've experienced what we're trying to go through right now. And they're able to give us wisdom, and it is so valuable. And we would miss out on that if it was nothing but the same age group. And so don't seclude yourself off. That's really important. If you seclude yourself off, then you miss out on a whole perspective. I would also say the same thing. Now, there is a place for men and women gathering together, but if that's the only place you gather, you are missing out on an entire perspective of the Christian life and the Christian faith. You are limiting yourself. And you're limiting what you can learn. You're limiting your belief. You need a diverse group around you. You need older people and younger people. You need men and women. You need someone who is just happy to survive the fact that their kids have slept through the night. And you need someone who knows what it feels like to not hear little voices and footsteps anymore. You need both. It's really important. Get involved in a group. If you want to grow spiritually, get involved in a group. If you want your marriage to thrive and to be better, get involved in a group. Share your life. Share your story and listen to other people's stories. And ultimately, be a functioning member of your church and help others be healthy just like you will. And ultimately, let's all learn to follow God and to do what He's called us to do by saying, I will. It's a great book, guys. Pick it up. I'm learning a lot. I hope you're learning a lot. If you're following along, or if you've got some thoughts or comments, I'd love to hear them. Make sure to go ahead and leave a comment. I would really be interested in knowing your takeaways, either from the book if you're reading it, or just me babbling on and all of that. I would love to hear what you guys are thinking. So let me know if you can. Throw it into the comment section below. But guys, I look forward to seeing you next week as we look at the next chapter of Tom Rander's book. I will.